Okay, so today we're going to be doing our introduction and our conclusion. So we're on the introduction slide of your essay skeleton slideshow, and we're looking at the thesis. In the epic Beowulf, grit is a vital theme which reflects the importance of grit in people's everyday lives. So this is the time when we can really start looking at what we wrote and make sure that it works, that it doesn't need to be revised. Instead of saying grit again, I'm going to say tenacity, because I know I use that in my essay as a synonym for grit, and that helps me define the words that I'm going to use. My hook. My hook is my attention getter. Sometimes you can come up with a really great hook that's amazing. Sometimes it's just average. But as I'm thinking about it, I'm wanting to bring up sort of the ideas. I don't want to mention Beowulf yet. Beowulf is my example, not my point. So I might start with something about how storytelling has always reflected, either literally or symbolically, what people go through in their lives, in their everyday lives. So human storytelling, as if humans storytelling, has always reflected either literally or symbolically. That's where we get the you battle monsters like your electric bill, or you battle the monster of that test that's looming over you that you have to do battle with. And that's a positive clause, so it needs to be surrounded by commas. We'll talk about that later in the year. Human storytelling has always reflected, either literally or symbolically, the events, trials, joys, and difficulties of people's journey, or people's life experiences. I'm talking about how storytelling is an important part of the human condition. How we need to share our stories. We need to, not just to entertain each other, not just to inform each other, but to share the experience that is this life. In a way, figuring out what life is about through our stories. That's something I can actually use in my bridge to sort of get the reader kind of thinking actively and pulling the reader in, even if they're not interested in the story that we're using as a proof. People need to share their stories as a way of connecting with others. Societies. What does it do on a society level? Societies use or need storytelling to teach societal values and create shared cultural experiences. Now I'm going to work towards Beowulf, that this does this, that Beowulf is one of these types of stories, sharing cultural experience, teaching values, teaching the way to live, the way to behave, that it's more than just entertainment. The early English languages are always capitalized. The early English epic Beowulf, and when you're talking about the story, we have to italicize, which I didn't do here. When you're talking about the character, you don't italicize it, but you do italicize it when you're talking about the name of the story. Beowulf is a prime example of this meaningful shared or storytelling, meaningful storytelling, shared experience, shared cultural experience. Now, as I get the ideas, I can add adjectives. I don't have to add the adjectives, the descriptive phrases in that right away. You can add it later. But now we've got hook, bridge, and thesis. How many sentences? The hook can be 1 to 2 sentences. The bridge can be 1 to 3 sentences. The thesis must only be 1. So now we've got this idea. Now let's move to the easier part, and that is the conclusion. The conclusion, we have our restated thesis, and I just copied and pasted it before, so now I need to reword it. The epic Beowulf, which again we need to italicize. The epic Beowulf. I can start there. The epic Beowulf defines and exemplifies is a big word, but just that's a form of the word example. It's the verb form of, this is where you get sometimes spell check. The vital theme of tenacity and grit, or determination and grit, you're talking about bravery, remember, which reflects its importance in people's everyday lives. And I did here have an issue because people is plural and therefore lives should be plural. Now restate my main points. Should be basically pretty simple. I can go up to my body paragraphs, or I can go up to my brainstorming, and I can literally copy and then Control-Shift-V that part in. I can go back up to my main points as long as I stuck to those points, and I can copy, and I did the wrong tab, and I can, I'm going to give it a little space there, Control-Shift-V, and I can go back, Control-Shift-V. Now, I have the ideas here. I need to coalesce them into 1 to 2 sentences. Uncertainty and risk. So, life has a great deal of uncertainty and risk, and requires people to take chances to have success in life, and I need to go and revise this, to take care of others, because I have take chances, so I need take care. Also, when, I'm starting a new sentence, if I can type, also when people are successful and do great things, comma, because this is a dependent introductory clause, it's a dependent clause, they encourage others to push through the difficulties of life, and society is improved through those efforts. Again, you're mimicking what I'm doing, but you can't use my wording exactly. I want you paraphrasing the ideas, but you can use sort of this as a model. As we move through the year, I'm going to be much more aggressive with you writing your own ideas and formulating your own expression. But for our purposes here, this works, that you can kind of mimic, reword what I'm saying, and use it for bravery, use it for your model essay. Link to the larger life truth. I've talked about the importance of storytelling. I've talked about the importance of bravery, grit, determination. but I'm wanting to leave my reader with a more thoughtful, thought-inspiring thing, or a call to action. In this case, call to action isn't quite as strong of an attempt because we're not trying to get them to vote or get them to go and do something. But I do want to link this idea that storytelling can inspire others to live the aspects of bravery, grit, determination. It's a model. So I go back to the idea: human storytelling of brave tales and tenacity, grit, the ability to push through, and tenacious heroes. Heroes has two E's. And tenacious heroes should continue to be shared as cultural experiences because they teach the values important to society as being entertaining. Done. I'm good. That does it. So, finish out yours, and then you'll go to the next video to set up your page.